Alright, so this week we're looking at trigonometry. So the first thing you need to do with trigonometry is to be able to label the triangle. Now, for the trigonometry we're doing, there must be a right angled triangle. So based on Pythagoras, what we did last week, we should know the hypotenuse is the one opposite the right angle, the longest side. So we label capital H for the hypotenuse first. Now, with trigonometry, you're either trying to find the size of an angle or you're using a particular angle. So because the angle's here in this case, the line that's next to the angle is called the adjacent, and the line opposite the angle is opposite. So there's the angle, so the line opposite must be O, the other one must be A. There's the angle, the line opposite must be O, therefore the one next to it must be A. So this is how we label the triangles using trigonometry. Now the three formulas. So you need to remember this acronym, if you will. So SOH CAHTOA, SOHCAHTOA. So we just actually say it, SOHCAHTOA. Now, each of these relate to three formulas that you need to learn. So the first letter is what function. So this is sine, this one's cos, and this one's tan. Now, if you ever use the sine button on the calculator, it's always followed by an angle, and the angle symbol we're using is theta, and it's equals. So first formula begins sine theta, second formula is cos theta, third formula is tan theta. This theta is just an angle. Now the next one is just a fraction, and this is O over H because that's the order. You see it O, then H. So this one will be A, then H. This one will be O, then A. So they're the three formulas. So if you remember SOHCAHTOA, you know sine is O divided by H, cos is A divided by H, and tan is O divided by A. Now, there are three types of question you need to be able to use this, and I'm going to go through these three now. First is find the length x. We do this in order. First, we've got the hypotenuse, H, it's opposite the right angle, and we're trying to find O, which is opposite this angle. We've got O and H. Which one of ours has an O and H in it? This one. Step one, write the formula. So you only write one formula, and that's the formula you need. There we go. Now what we're going to do is substitute. Sine of our angle is 37, equals opposite, which is the one we're trying to find, x, divided by hypotenuse, which is 12. So once again, once you know these formulas, it's just substitution. Because this is divided by 12, when we move it over to this side, it must be 12 multiplied by sine 37, must give you whatever x is. So we type that into our calculator. So sine 37 is that, multiplied by the 12, and we get x to two decimal places. Let's go 7.22 centimeters, and it looks about correct. Making sure your calculator is in degrees mode because the angle is in degrees. So the second one, I'm going to again do it in the same order. First we label it. Well, that's the hypotenuse. If that's the angle we're using, that's opposite the angle, and the other one must be A. So we've got O in the question, and we're trying to find A. We're not using H. There's no number there, and there's no letter there. O and A is tan. So step one, write the formula. Tan theta equals O divided by A. Step two, substitute. Tan of the angle, which is 61, is the opposite, which is 12, divided by the adjacent, which is x. Now this is different to this question, because here you saw that x was on the top, which means you just times it by 12. Here x is on the denominator. So the best way of doing this one is if you times this by x, you'd then need to divide this by tan 61. So if you move that there, then you move that there, you actually end up with x equals 12 divided by tan 61. So, you know, you could go 12 divided by tan 61, and you get your answer. Two decimal places again, 6.65. Now, you've got to watch this again and practice these two types, because when you substitute, you either x is at the top, when it looks like that, or x is at the bottom, in the denominator, when it looks like that. The last question is to find the angle. So we've got hypotenuse and our adjacent. We're not using the opposite. A and H must be cos. Cos theta equals A divided by H. Now let's substitute. Cos of, well, we don't know what angle, it's just x, and that must equal 9 over 12. So this time, this is what we're trying to find. Now when you rearrange this, you can't divide by cos because it's kind of part of this. So we need to take the inverse. So it looks like cos inverse, or cos to the negative 1. So whenever you find an angle, you always have to do this inverse. To do that, it's usually shift cos. So, or second function on mine, and you'll see it says cos minus 1. So whenever you find an angle, cos minus 1, then I'm typing in my 9 divided by 12, and then it will give me the angle 41.41 degrees. Now, these are the only 3 types of questions that you need to practice for trigonometry. You're not going to learn this instantly. You need to rewind the video, you need to go through it, listen to the order I went through. Formula, substitute, the rearrange, answer. Formula, substitute, I rearranged it, answer. Even for the angles, formula, substitute, rearranged it, answer. So again, you need to be practicing this, and the worksheet is already on the Andy page.